Welcome at the poolside. I hope you all have a good seat. Most likely you laid out your towel right before breakfast, just like every tourist does. At least the Germans do, which is strange somehow. But whatever. So Michael and me, we're here to talk a little about the hybrid software Flexo Workflow today. We all hope you have a little time with you because we had our German-speaking session this morning. And as you might imagine, Flexo is quite a big topic to cover, so it took a little longer than expected. Nevertheless, we will do our best to keep in time or not spoil your time. Be sure it's going to be amazing. All right, so welcome at the poolside. As I said yesterday already, sorry, not yesterday, but Tuesday, uh, we don't want to have a summer break this year, because we really think there's a lot of people interested in hearing what's new at hybrid software. And we really appreciate you being here with us, even though you may be on vacation right now. And if you're not on vacation, if you're in the company right now, you can share what you hear today with your colleagues once they return from theirs. For today's session, microphones are already switched off, so that doesn't matter. If you have questions, if you have ideas, please collect them in the chat or in the questions and answers section from Zoom, because we will be answering or going through these at the end of the session. I'll also notify you that this session will be recorded. And while we're at the poolside, Michael, thank you. If you want to go into deep water today, which is quite usual for Flexo guys, I would say, make sure to wear a swimming badge. Don't dive off the poolside. And I hope you have some, relaxing shoes on right now. Okay, so today with me is Michael Sechsauer, the product expert from the German team. I'm Sven Frerichs, taking care of sales management in the German-speaking territory, Central Europe and Middle East. We will guide you through our Flexo story today. Well, the Flexo workflow. In the end, I have to say that the printing method of Flexo today is perhaps the most challenging one which we can meet, because there is so many different things where maybe offset, maybe standardized already, and where Flexo can really get complicated. So the question really would be, how can software assist in simplifying the process, in making it more economic, in improving the quality, in stabilizing it, in stabilizing the results? This is what we will talk about today. For the first part, let's have a short look at the workflow as we see it. You will now see that from the moment where you receive files from your customer, you will have to check those, to pre-flight those. You will have to work on it, perhaps interactively. That is a section which we will cover with some slides about packs. Then again, we have to output imaging files somehow. So the RIP will also be part of our story today. The TIFFs that fall out of the RIP, they can be finished. This is something that we will do with Intelligent Flexo. And in the very end, when it comes to plate making, there will also be a part of the story about Tectonics, which helps you in efficiently using your plate material. As you can see, we offer solutions for the whole workflow, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to combine all the different components that hybrid offers. You can really pick a single one if you like, or individual ones, and combine them with other components that you already have. So there is no strict way of combining everything. You will see that in the end, there may be things in the story that apply more to you. There may be others which you don't like that much, and in the end, it's your choice what you want to go for. Okay, we have started to build up some slides to show the main challenges in Flexo and show you what kind of answers or approaches we provide. Well, the first thing that we have to look into when talking about Flexo surely is everything about screening. So in the end, there can be screening conflicts, or it is more likely to have screening conflicts in Flexo because in many cases, we will use more than just 4 colors. We will often use spot colors. We will often have to screen and mix spot colors as well. So there is a certain risk for getting more rays. And we have to make sure that we are always aware where more arrays can happen, so where screening conflicts can happen, and that as early as possible. That saves us time, and it helps in increasing the quality. On the other hand, we do not want to have a reduced quality just because we say, all right, we're going to push one screen set over the full artwork, because there is more things that we can achieve with Flexo. And the question really would be, if it comes to screening and screening definition and screening conflicts, how can PACS help with that, Michael?
Yeah, thanks, Sven. Yeah, PACS is a powerful tool, but first of all, let's have one word to the audience. What is PACS? So PACS is a highly efficient, full-featured PDF editor for getting digital artwork files press ready in the packaging and label industry, independently from which printing production you're working on. And we focus today on the Flexo tools, and PACS provides powerful tools to increase quality by object-based screen configuration inside of the editor. So what you see here on screen is that you have the visual control that allows you to keep control about that at any time. So values such as screen ruling, angles, and dot shapes are visible at a glance. So the properties are stored in the file. Replication thereby becomes really, really simple. The configuration is vendor neutral. The greater number of PDF-compatible ribs from other manufacturers utilize this information too. So you will see this maybe also on the little screenshot on the right side. I don't want to mention any vendors, but we have the compatibility there to provide those information towards other systems. So, but in flexographic printing, usually you use more than 4 colors and you print more than 4 colors maybe on top of each other. So screen angles often have to be used more than once, like you said it before, Sven, and this bears really the risk of a moray. In addition, lower screen rollings very often as common used for screened white plates or special colors can lead up to let me say some optical edges. So PACS supports the user by identifying and correcting potentially problematic areas very early in the process, and that's what you see here in the highlighted area. So we have defined different screens. So PACS supports the user there, and conflicts in screen rulings and screen angles or dot shapes can be quickly identified and precisely corrected directly in the editor. This avoids, in the end, failures and, in worst case, costly misprints.
Yeah, right.
But this is one of the parts. So we are talking about screening. We're talking about maybe different rulings. But there is one little thing more in Flexo, which could be, very interesting. It has to do with the min dots, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well, screening is one thing. Screening happening in highlight areas is a different thing again. It's one of the other challenges, because when creating the plates, we have to consider that we need a minimum diameter for the dots to copy onto the plate. And in the end, that means we don't have the luxury to perhaps define a gradient that runs to 0%, just like we would do in offset maybe. We have to deal with such very light areas and respect that we have a minimum dot that is darker than what we actually want to have. So we need to take care of this. And of course, there is in Flexo a whole lot of strategies on how to deal with that. It's like, I don't know, hiding the breakdown areas, or just letting the min dot run through or whatever. Or if the light area is composed from different inks, perhaps turn it into a monochrome setup by replacing it with a spot color. So there are a lot of different approaches to that, and they also consist of a lot of work. So that means they are taking time and efficiency from your process. Do we have something for that, Michael?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have there a lot of really powerful tools. So let me switch to the next slide and just explain you what PACS can do for you. So to get really high quality prints, the tonal values below a certain percentage have to be avoided. That's what you say. That's yeah, at the bottom of the line. So PACS offers the possibility to visually highlight those critical areas. What you see here also in screenshot in the highlighted red, we show everything below 3%. So this is my min dot at this plate and at this production line. So the operator can pay really special attention to these critical areas when applying corrections. And the inspection tools help to improve quality in print plate production, and later on also in the press run, very early in the process, so you can really visualize it with the file that you have been delivered from your customer side. Of course, PACS has also the possibility to use curves. So curves can help to visualizing the effect on the expected dot gain, and it's based on the selected printing press. Dot gains and breakdowns can be easily identified in this way. And you will see it here also in the screenshot that, yeah, it's maybe not really visual, but we have here also the highlights, which we can really adjust very precisely in that way. But the curves also allow to actively apply tonal value corrections to improve quality in press. This way, you improve the print result and avoid incorrect plate production. Alternatively, advanced adjustments can be applied using color-based color conversions in the end. And what I think what is really powerful is that the user retains a full visual control on screen at any time. So that's what you maybe see here. I hope you can see it a little bit. So this is the, let me say, the vignette that we have, which is regularly delivered. And we see here where the cutoff is later on in the production. And here we simulate really a bump up curve. And you will see that, in this case, the vignette here is nearly disappearing because we need to bump it up to 3%. And then, you get a little bit in trouble with the design in this case. This is for PACS at the moment, but PACS offers powerful options for optimization in Flexo printing, but there are also additional features in the RIP, and I want to show you what this is. So first of all, let's have one word to the cloud for RIP. It's a PDF 2.0 based high performance RIP technology. It's also optimized for packaging and label prepress, and it's vendor and process independent. And this is very, sexy, I would say. And you will see here also on the screen on the right side that we have the same functionality like in PACS to improve also the highlights. So curves can also be applied in the RIP, and this could cause in a higher standardize of a high quality output in the highlight areas. The settings of the min dot can be configured as a different matter. So that's what you see here. This significantly reduces the effort in the end in the prepress because you can optimize it later on in the RIP if you like.
So that means, Michael, if I understand that correctly, it's a standard setting in the RIP that will apply to any file that I throw in there. So I can make sure based on the RIP setting that no file comes out with tonal values below, I don't know, 3%, which I cannot copy to the plate.
Exactly.
All right.
And you can really, specify different hot folders if you like, if you want to work like in the old days with hot folders, or you can directly put it in from your editor of your choice, if it is PACS or if it is Illustrator, doesn't matter. That makes it more compatible to the open standards like we go through. Okay, but in the end, and I want to show you here on the next screen that we end up mostly that we lose some modulation and details, because like we said in this vignette, what we've seen here, that especially in the light designs such as milk, clouds, and etc., this can lead into weak grayish results in press. This is not really good. It's not what you want to achieve in the end. So on top of all these technologies, We have also an HXM, let me say HXM technology. What is this? It's the Harlequin cross-modulated screening technology within the Cloudflare RIP. And it offers an efficient solution to automate the processing of highlights. So the cross-modulated screening particularly reproduces highlight areas at a definable dot size by a controlled distribution of screen dots. This allows highlight to fade out smoothly without the need of a curve-based adjustment, so you can skip all the steps which we had before. This standardizes the process and allows consistent quality in the highlights while gaining more efficiency in the process. And this could be very sexy. We'll have a look later on in an example, which I want to show you live. If we are talking about the highlights and if we are talking about the Prepress setup, we have to have a closer look also to the solids. So to the, let me say, to the ink coverage in the end. So maybe you want to spend one word there, Sven?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've seen two challenges in Flexo, but the biggest one, most likely the biggest one, is the question of getting the right ink coverage. So what we want is actually nice, shiny, thorough ink layers, and at the same time, precise details like fine text, like barcodes, like light screened objects. And getting that on press in a proper quality at the same time really very much poses a compromise today. There are, of course, many different tricks and tweaks that you can do, like, I don't know, splitting colors or whatever, or combining, working on the viscosity of the ink, or taking different aniloxes or whatever. But all these tricks and tweaks, they take a lot of time and labor. And this is, in the end, expensive, time-consuming, and it's not really a perfect solution to that. One approach in the market is to have surface screening of some kind and apply that to the plates, but the solutions that are existing in the market today usually focus on the one hand, imaging the plates with a higher resolution, and on the other hand, using a fixed combination of an image setter with a certain plate material. And this, of course, ties companies in. So they are not really able to decide by themselves how to economically design this process, because they are fixed to what the manufacturer gave them. And we have a different thing here, right, Michael?
Yes, of course. We have there really an award-winning product that's brand new. So to increase the pressure of a solid area quickly causes significant ink spread. That's what we know. So what I want to say is that negative elements get filled up and positive printing details can gain in thickness. In the end, barcodes are no longer readable, and so on and so on. So solid areas suffer in a uniform ink layer and appear uneven and cloudy. Therefore, we created a product called Intelligent Flexo. Intelligent Flexo is an AI-based vendor-independent solution, like all the things we've seen before. For the automated optimization of imaging data, so for TIFF and LEN files for the Flexo printing. It is, it's an optimized handling of dot gain through targeted surface screening, and the automatic analysis and zone-based optimization of the separations will help there based on this AI-based technology. In the end, in the results, it increases really the print quality, and it simplifies, of course, the process. And in the end, you have shorter setup times. This is important for you, I think. Yeah. On top of that, we created also a technique for labeling those plates. I mean, a lot of you will labeling your plates, so printing plates often have to be labeled in order to identify them on the later on process. However, many of these labeling needs to be non-print, and therefore they are cut away by hand. Maybe one or the other know what I'm talking about. So Intelligent Flexo enables a special zone control to convert plate labelings into non-printing elements. This reduces the manual effort and avoids errors in the process. And this is one of the things which I really want to show you. Not only the let me say the labeling, but let's have a closer look, if you like, to Intelligent Flexo. Therefore, I just switch over to my favorite web browser. In my opinion, this is Chrome. You can use any web browser of your choice. It's company-wide usable. So if you have the IP address and you have the access to the system, you can use this company-wide, let's say. So we're inside of the system, we're inside of Kiosk and inside of my modulated workflow here on the right side. So you will see at the first place that there are some patterns prepared. So these are the pattern libraries which we are talking before about it. And in this process, you can choose what kind of density or what kind of pattern you want to add to your TIFF or to your LAM file. You can use here some setups so you can process the entire file. But in our case, we want to just to process a part of the file. And this is what I want to show you here. So we can say include or exclude at a certain place. You can define from which position it should start. You can choose. I will take here the medium density of the design, and then you can also add additional information like a cell wall. I will do a cell wall with 2 pixels. I will explain it later when we have a look to the file. And because we're working with HXM, because we have these small dots, which we were talking about before, we don't want to touch these small dots because the socket is good for 5 pixels, but let me say that the structure should start at maybe at 6 or 5, whatever pixels. So I would go for a setup for 5 pixels that I don't touch these HXM screening in the end. So you can choose multiple files. You can choose the complete file. For speed reasons, I just take the cyan for a minute, and I will submit this into the workflow. And what happens now in the back is that the TIFF file will be grabbed from the workflow. It will identify the zones where the pattern should be applied, and then the complete magic starts. As you all know, in Cloudflare you have the possibility to look also in the log file, and therefore you see where we are. So at the moment, the Intelligent Flexo is running through in 19 seconds, so this is finished already. And what's happening in my workflow is at the moment that I generate a proof scope URL to visualize the file directly in the web browser. So it's a very nice tool really to have also a look into the file. And I will open up the file here by instantly clicking it, and I get a compare functionality, a compare option, where I will see the original file compared to the file which we have processed to Intelligent Flexo. And first of all, let's look to what's happening in here, because here we have this vignette in there. And like I said before, this is the famous HXM screening, which will be applied. So the dot is not getting smaller at a certain size. It will be spread over the size or over the place. And at a certain time here, after 5 pixels, we start adding the surface screening, and we'll see it here that we applied it already. But let's have a closer look, maybe to the one-up file that we don't have this compare function anymore. So we have a better overview. So if I go a little bit closer in here, you can see what happens. Yeah. So we have these 2 pixel lines around the dots or around the solids or around the edges, and then, the magic starts. If we get a closer look to this log line on the left side, we will see that another screening is applied. And here we'll see, compared to here, that the white pixels are bigger than on this side. So we have let me say, a lighter pixel, let me say repetition here. And this will end up, let me say that during the process of the plates, this will be not washed away, but it will be lowered so that it's non-printing, but still visible on the plate. That's the idea behind it. And that's the idea why we have created here the non-print, let me say, pattern for this one. So you will see you can use any TIFFs, any land file for this, and on top of it, you can create your own pattern if you like. So you have the freedom that you don't have to use those values. You can also create your own pattern and at that stage. But I want to give you a little bit more information about that, because you can also use a PDF file and define the zones directly in the PDF file. And that's what I want to show you here. So I open up PAX, and we'll open up the same file, what we have seen as a TIFF file, which is this one here, and want to explain you what's happening. So I highlighted the intelligent flexo zones, which is nothing else than a rectangle, or let me say just a form, which is named. And the workflow will find out where those named objects are and position then the right pattern on top of it. You will see the workflow is defined that he will search for intelligent flexo zones. It will say if it is included or excluded, and if it is, in this case, medium density, or a non-print density. To give you a better overview, look, this is the non-print area here on the left side. Yeah, this is this log line which we want to define. And you can also define it inside of the artwork if you don't have the space here on the left side. And I have included the medium density. What I excluded, or what I don't want to add here with the surface screening or the surface pattern are the microdots. You all know that if we are putting a surface screening on the microdots, that you will get problems later on if you want to mount the plates, because this can really cause some errors. Therefore, we just define it as microdots protected, and the workflow will really take those zones and process it differently during the intelligent flexo process. We have also a mark layer. The mark layer was in the first example, consistently spread with a surface screening. In this case, I want to show you that I want to exclude it here, and of course, in the end, the artwork on top of it. So the easiest way, if you see it in a combination of PAX or even Illustrator, if you like, towards the RIP and towards intelligent flexo, this will give you more possibilities and easier to use workflow, but you can use it also as a standalone. Let me show you how easy it is to transfer this to Cloudflow, and therefore I have a directly link to Kiosk. We'll open this, that you see a little bit more, and I can create a new file with the intelligent flexo. In this case, I don't want to use the manual zones. In this case, I want to use the smart zones, because we have everything defined in the file. The only thing what we have to do here is we have to process the file to TIFF files before. So it's a combination of RIP and intelligent flexo in this case. Again, we can define a cell wall. We can choose if you want to protect the microdots or the register marks in this case. And we can load, of course, our favorite preset, which is in this case a regular, let me say 2540 dpi HXM screening for flexo. And that's the only thing what we have to do. We can take the file and submit it into the workflow. Okay, and that's it. So let's hide this for a second and jump back into our workflow. And if we have a look to the files, and if I open up the files, you will see that the complete file is processed. And I just want to zoom a little bit in here, because we're always at the same position. So let's maybe stay here in the cyan, and you will see, if I switch here all the other colors off and take the cyan and make it, for instance, black and white, that we see a little bit more, you will see that the screening is applied with the medium density, what I want to have, and also the slug line is with the non-print defined. And let's have a look to the microdots here and also to the mirror bar, and you will see there's no screening applied. So this is the way you can really comfortably, let me say, adjust your files and improve the quality of your files towards the customer. So this is more or less what I want to show you in a live demo. We have limited time. I can talk 2 hours about intelligent flexo, but I think you all want to see a little bit more about it. So let's jump back to the presentation and make a little summary here. So intelligent flexo is a vendor independent and can be used on many plate servers and plate materials, and also on lower solutions. Unlike the solution we market, that intelligent flexo can be used, like I said, in regular output resolutions, potentially increasing capacity on your plate setup. What does this mean? If you're working with 4000 dpi or with 5080, your image setter takes longer to expose your plate. If we can improve with intelligent flex at the regular resolution, the output and also the print, this can really, cause significant, better results. So you can tackle the rising material prices today by increasing quality with intelligent flexo on your existing infrastructure. Intelligent flexo offers a predefined pattern library, but also allows you to customize your own patterns. And intelligent flexo opens up new possibilities for you, but at the same time, it integrates smoothly to your existing process. And that's what I mean. Okay, so this is it for the minute for intelligent flexo, but we have a little bit more. We have seen also Tectonics, and I want to give the word back to you, Sven.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Very, very interesting technology, intelligent flexo, because it actually adds value to the existing infrastructure instead of forcing you into buying new image setters to increase your capacity or increase your quality. That's really, really nice. We have taken a look at working on the content of a plate actually and making it more optimal for a better print quality or whatever, or for a shorter print starting time. But in the end, there is one big point about flexo which is very obvious to, I guess, everybody to you. It's the question of the plate utilization. In the end, this is about the economy of the plating process. And in many cases, there is far too much expensive raw material, which is not used for plate production, but simply becomes waste. Just because there is an effort connected to managing the plate cutoffs that you produce, to control that you always combine separations onto a plate material that really are compatible to each other. And in the end, as the result, plate production process, if it's not, well, let's say fully under control and optimized, has a negative impact on profitability. And that is, of course, what we want to look at. Now it's about plate production. Michael?
Yeah, thanks. So, we have there something for you. Maybe you heard about it. We call it Tectonics. And Tectonics is on top of the other universal solution, also a universal solution for the economical use of FlexiPlate material through optimized distribution of patching of the separations. So what I want to say is that the smart calculation of Tectonics helps in automatically distributing jobs on the plate format while saving plate material. The integrated cutoff management is used to utilize cutoffs and thereby heavily reduce plate waste. And I will show this later on in live demo. So Tectonics will automatically identify the group jobs on compatible plate sheets based on their properties. So this prevents human errors and costly double exposures. Tectonics will also export cutting information towards a CAD/CAM system to ensure the streamlined processing of the plates after exposure. So a lot of big pluses. And yeah, I don't know if there is the audience also there for, let me say, corrugated board, but I want to just say one word because because Tectonics has a little bit more functionality under the hood. So Yes, for our audience working with the corrugated business, Tectonics also offers intelligent algorithms to identify the printing areas within a separation and split them into patches in order to save plate material. And I will show this also live here. It is, yeah, let me say, during this process, Tectonics will automatically create the required marks and export mounting information to ensure efficient processing after exposure. What does this mean? So we can export, for instance, a MOM file for an AB Flexo logic or a mirror-proof mount or whatever you want to use for production later on. But yeah, we have seen a lot of slides. I would say let's jump into a live demo because it's always good and impressive to see what the product can do for you. So you will see here on the left side, I have my Tectonics setup. I will just jump in. Don't show you all the functionality and features, but I want to jump into the queues where I'm in. Yeah, I just built here 2 queues. In real life, you will have more than 2 plate materials and a little bit more sizes. So what the color is indicating you is that those queues which are green, they're at the moment empty, so nothing has to be done here. But here in the ACE queue, we have 2 jobs waiting for processing, and I want to jump in here. And the first thing what I want to do is I want to make this a little bit bigger, that you maybe can see a little bit more. And let's creating a new job. Of course, you can do this manually. So for demo purposes, it makes sense to do this here manually. But you can also use, in addition of a workspace, and hot folder technology, which allows you that this process to put the files in is automated from the website. And therefore, I have a lot of, let me say, setup possibilities. Let's say I want to crop the file of the outer contents. I want to have a free rotation, or I want to have a job consistent rotation. It's up to you how you want to work, or if you have a mirror proof, or if you want to have a different mounting method. So I will go for the automatic mounting method. I will show you later on why I do this. And I will search my file. Hold on, I don't want to waste your time here, but for correctness, let's take the file which we have processed before. So this is the Yum demo file, which you maybe all know. And I will give this into the ACE workflow. And instantly, the files are created. It will show how many patches it should be produced here, and it gives you a nice overview of the separations which are in the file, and also an indicator if they are already placed or not. So you have a complete overview. Nevertheless, we are working in this ACE plate size, so you can't mix up, let me say, different jobs with different plates, because it makes no sense. That's why I'm talking about that you can't do any errors. Also, the DPI size is fixed. There is one specialty. If you're going for Thermoflex image setter, for the big one, they can image different, let me say, DPIs on one plate, and therefore we have also a solution in Tectonics who will tackle those issues. If you want to know more in detail, we can do a dedicated session. But in the end, I want to show you also the functionality which I talked about for corrugated. And this is a corrugated job in here. And we have here some powerful measurement tools. I just want to measure here that is 1 meter and 40 centimeters in total. If you look to the separations, I think it's not necessarily needed that we have to process here a complete flexo plate. Instead of that, if you have a mounting machine, you can make small batches out of it. And Tectonics takes care about this and do this automatically for you. And I will show you what's happening here, because you can have really dedicated view on that. And let's maybe jump into the red separation and see how the patches look like. So you can really go inside of the separation. And now you get an indicator if the patch is big enough for a Mount-O-Matic, because we choose their Mount-O-Matic before. Don't forget, look inside of here. If I go for the job details, it will say it's going for a Mount-O-Matic. We have this consumption of plate material and all the other information on top of it. And yeah, and Tectonics takes care about this and said, okay, if we have two cameras, we have a minimum size of the patches. And if the patches are too small, we can't mount them with an automatic mounting system. And this is what is indicated here on screen. So the red patches are too small. You can still export to small patches and mount it manually. But if you want to make here an improvement and want to, to patch it automatically or mount it automatically on the miler, it's better to, to modify this one. And you have powerful tools here where you can easily, join or separate those patches. And it always gives you the live indicator of how many square millimeters of material is used, also with 5 millimeters of edges here around it. So I go once back that you will see it, that it's live indicating. So we see as soon as I change something, it's directly taken into account, and the complete job area size is also stored in here. But what I want to show you in the end is how easy it is to place this on the existing material or on a, let me say, on a piece of an old plate which you have processed of a cutoff. So I select the files which I want to place, and I just toggle this little button. I call it Poolside number 2, because we have in the morning already one. And of course, we have this plate type, but we still can choose which size of plate. So this is nothing else than a library that you can build up on your own, and you can choose which plate type you want to use. And in the end, you can just say, okay, and the calculation will be start running. And the magic you will see on the right side in a few seconds is the result of that. So what you see here is that, that Tectonics creates here, let me say the first plate. It has a filling of 78%, who waits till it gets 85%, and then it starts automatic flushing. You could change this in the setup. And we have here the second plate, and as you could see, we can wait for the next jobs. It's poor. I have just 3 jobs here, but as more jobs as are coming in, as better the result of the fill-up is. But if it should go quickly through the process and you will need those patches very urgently, then you have also the possibility to make this plate partition. And therefore you have here some tools. And if I click the partition tool, you will see that Tectonics takes care about it and cuts off to a minimum size of the plates. And it says to the operator, he can really cut off at 451 millimeters the plate, can mount it, and the rest of the plate can later on go inside of the cutoff archive, which we will have a look at it in 2 minutes. The other way around, you can also say, I want to use from this part cutoff, an existing cutoff. So if you have some cutoffs from the earlier imagings, Tectonics will take care about it, takes the best part for this layout, and will take one of the old rest plates, and then it's more efficient for you and for the process. Like I said, you can send it automatically, so after a certain time or after a certain filling, but you can also send it manually, that it's directly taken over into the image setter of your choice. And therefore you can choose the output. I just created 2 or 3 different outputs, and you can choose whatever you want. I want to go to a TIFF output in this case and send it to this image setter, and also I do this here And so the TIFF files will be created. Also on top of the automatically a cut file will be created. In this case, it's a Zünd plotter, but you can also use Valiani plotter or a Kongsberg plotter. So those information is nothing else than a PDF with cutting information, and this could be processed through the system. But let's have a closer look here to the cutoffs. Just to say one word, you will see it's in German because I always make the most demos in German. So it's the place where you store the rest plates.
It's a custom title which you put in German. All right, I see.
Yeah, it's the German title of it,
Sorry
but it also
that.
says from which plate it comes. And you will see here that 2 plates are cut off. This is the one which we have created already. And yeah, now the operator which is doing plates just have to identify or just have to say, this is place 12. You can have here an expiry date if you like. The polymer maybe gets hard. And then the cutoff is created and it's taken into account if you're working here later on in the placement and you're not working with the cutoff, so you can use the cutoff and then it takes one of these cutoffs from the old imaging. Okay, so this is it from my side, from the live side. Let's jump back to Keynote. I hope I don't forget something that we have later on the question round. So I give back to Sven.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Great show. I really like it because it's a very complete story, and Tectonics is quite a young product to the hybrid family, but nevertheless, it's a very, very valuable one. And there's a lot of things that it actually can solve. Let's just have a small recap on what we've seen today, because that was the last part of the story. So we ended up with Tectonics, which is mainly looking into optimizing optimizing the economic usage of your plates, or boosting the utilization of plate material, simplifying the process, saving you time, and saving waste. This is something where we have to say it also supports TIFF and LEN files, so it allows you to also process separations that you might have in your archive, and it makes things a lot easier. Before Tectonics, we've been talking about Intelligent Flexo, which is in the end a very can you please switch the slide? Thank you very much. Which is a very interesting solution as well in terms of surface screening, because it enriches what you already have, because it's using the existing infrastructure. It doesn't tie you into specific plate materials or image setter machinery, and it adds value to what you already have. And at the same time, through its automated artificial intelligence technology, it really can speed up the process of creating separations that have a significant quality, and it can also get you into running speed on your print machine quite easy. Before that, we've been looking at the RIP. Well, mainly, we've not really been looking at the RIP, but we've been looking at the possibilities that the RIP offers you to work on the tonal values by curves and by taking care of the highlights, and perhaps by also applying the Harlequin cross-modulated screening in order to optimize the highlights and taking away work from the interactive prepress. So this is really something that really helps a lot, because it boosts or it shortens the runs in the prepress, because it really takes work over to an automation. The first thing that we looked at was packs. And packs in the end, well, if you have ever been working or seeing packs, you know how much it can actually do. We've only had a brief look at some slides today. We deliberately said we're not going to do a demo. We just point out the highlights that packs offers for Flexo printing or Flexo prepress. And we've seen that it can do a lot concerning the checks, being aware where you have to work on, perhaps doing tonal value corrections with curves or even with color profiles. So there is really a lot that PAX can do for you. And at the same time, what we've seen today is just a very small excerpt of what it can really do. So this was the Flexo story. And you've seen that through the whole workflow, Hybrid offers solutions that can help you to optimize quality, to streamline your process, to be more profitable in the process. And that is why we would love to talk to you. So if we have gained your attention today, this is the list of account managers that you see in the German-speaking territory and in Central Europe and Middle East. There's also myself here. And if you are not in the German territory in Central Europe or the Middle East, but you're from the rest of the world, whereas the rest of the world is a very nice place to be, you can always send a message to sales@hybridsoftware.com and we'll be happy to take care of you. There have been a few questions popping up, which I'd like to go through. Of course, we have to see that in the end, there is so much about Flexo, so many details, which we can't really dig into to the very bottom at such a session. Nevertheless, there are a few questions which have been popping up and perhaps they would be interesting to share with you. So there's a question on intelligent Flexo here. Can I really create my own patterns for surface screening? Well, that's a very precise question. Michael, do you want to answer it quickly?
Maybe it's the best if I show you quickly what's happening behind.
Oh, even better.
Let me think about. So let's go back to the workflow. We will see we have here our, let me say, our patterns, and I already created. You can add as much pattern as you want. This is just for highlighting and doing a demo, but this is nothing else than a TIFF. Let me think, because I work every day in patterns. Here we go. So you will see those are the patterns which are defined, and I will just open up my individual pattern inside of my pixel editor. In my case, it's Photoshop. Yeah, and I hope Photoshop will open. Here we go. And hold on. And then I can create here my own pattern. The H for hybrids. So let's change this into, let me say, into a P for poolside session. So you can create here your own pattern if you like.
Wow.
Yeah, you can brand your own stuff. You just save this one, and that's it. From that moment on, you have changed it. If you go back to the workflow, this will take a second. Let me check. And open up here the one. It will create your pattern. But what I already can do is I can just take a file now, take the magenta, and yeah, compress it here over the complete size. Do here maybe 2 pixels, and skip the rest and just submit it into the workflow. In a few seconds, you will see that we have created a little piece, yeah, already here. And this is the way you can really individualize your patterns. I mean, a P is not really the best solution for it, but yeah, you can play around. Huh? So yes, so every, let me say, every substrate needs to have a little bit of special attention that you have the best solution later on in Prepress. And therefore you can, build your own patterns. You have the freedom, but you can also use our internal pattern.
This is very impressive, because from what I've seen in Flexo, you know, there is individual experiences existing in the market on how to approach specific motifs in combination with a substrate analoxis, screening parameters and stuff. And this experience is something that, of course, we cannot give to you. That is why we offer standard patterns. But if you are able to turn your experience into your own customized pattern, this might be a key to achieve a totally different range of quality.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's why we gave you the freedom to create your own patterns. Because in the past, I have a lot of talks to customers, and most of the customers said, yeah, I'm not happy with the existing solutions because I can't handle my own patterns. I have my own pattern in mind because I know that little cross is better than 4 pixels or whatever. And therefore, hey, feel free, just do it. Huh?
Yeah.
So you will see a little piece. I would say this is maybe not the best solution, but yeah, just to show you very quickly, yeah, where
There's another question. There's 2 questions which sort of relate. So there's a question: at what resolution do we have to image a flexo plate after applying the surface screen? And the other question is, we're thinking of buying a new crystal CDI. Do we really have to, or can we use our old CDI and use intelligent flexo on it? I guess these questions combine, right, Michael?
I think yes. Yeah. So first of all, let's say we can go for a regular resolution of 2540, 2400 or whatever. So you don't have to buy a very expensive optic or a new image setter on this place. So therefore we have created little patches. So just send an email to sales@hybridsoftware.com and we can start the process by identifying if your image setter is able to reproduce those, let me say, those patterns in the resolution. In most of the cases, this works. In some cases, this won't work, but you will see as soon as it won't work, that the image setter is out of focus or something else is not 100% true. So you can really adjust more or less your image setter towards that this will appear in a regular resolution. This works, yes.
That's really nice because, well, using a regular resolution, that means it simply the intelligent flexo based imaging blends into your standard production workflow. But at the same time, it gives you an additional quality. This is a really nice thing because it just adds value to what you already have.
Of course, think about you have, let me say you have an old image setter, you have thousands of LAN files in your library, and you want to improve those files. You just have to put it into the intelligent flexo, process it through, and go again to the same image setter and see what's coming out on the press run. Yeah, of course. That's what we do every day at the moment.
By the way, while you were talking about LAN files, there's another question here, but not about LAN files in Intelligent Flexo, but for Tectonics. It seems there is a customer here who has a whole archive of LAN files. Are these supported in Tectonics as well?
Yes. Yes, as long as it is not the LAN-X format, which is encrypted, which is not accessible to other systems. Yes, we can do this. So for regular LAN files, the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm. There is a specific question coming up. Does the quality differ if we image a flexo plate with a different resolution after applying the surface screening? Well, to my understanding, the resolution of the TIFF file is defined in the RIP. So the ripping process decides on the resolution. And in the end, it doesn't really matter, as I understand you, Michael, if that file coming from the RIP has a resolution of 2400 or maybe 5080 or whatever, Intelligent Flexo will simply take that resolution over, right?
Exactly. So
do
there
we
is
have
no limitation.
Mm-hmm. And do we have experience if do we have an experience if the quality of Intelligent Flexo is actually different if we use a higher resolution?
Not really. So what we faced is that at the low resolution, the quality is not really worse than to 4000 dpi. Of course, you have more details and you can have a, let me say, more rounded dot in the end, but that's the only thing. Huh? So the structure which you put on top of it, of course, it is more, it is finer. So you have thinner lines, but in the end, if you're working with, let me say, with the right substrate and with the right anidox, which you have also taken into account later on for the print and press run, 2,540 is not don't look worse than 4,000, right?
I was thinking so. I was thinking so. There's another question here. How can I make sure that plates are filled to a certain percentage? So this is about Tectonics again. The question is, can I define some kind of threshold where I say I need at least 80% of plate usage before I start imaging something?
Yeah, that's a very clever question. Yes, of course you can do that. Again, this is one of the things which you don't define into your daily work. So what we see here is how we place it, how we add a job and stuff like that, but we don't see how the settings look like. In the settings of Tectonics, we have those possibility. So as soon as you add a queue, or if you work on a queue, you can really define here is the value, the minimum plate fill percentage. So if you go for 85%, this will make sure that the plate must have at least 85% of filling before it's automatically flushed towards the image setter. This is one of the things. When we're talking about that, we have also talked about the timeouts. So we don't want to wait that a plate is after 2 weeks is coming out, because then 85% is reached. You can also add a timeout on top of it, and this is the second value here. So you can say, as soon as this has at least 85%, it will flush to the image set automatically. But if the 85% is not really, we don't reach the 85%, the second value will take it into account, and after 4 hours, it will flush the plates automatically. So you can choose what you want to do. Also on top of it, if you look in here, what kind of cutting output type you want to have, the famous Kongsberg, which we all know, or a Zund, or of course, I don't add here the Valiani table, but in the end, it's nothing else than a PDF with cut line information, which can read out in a
Great.
system. But
All
this
right.
is not the question in this case. Okay.
Thanks a lot. I don't see any more open questions, but I'm sure there will be questions coming up later on. So please make sure, if we inspired you today, just get in touch with us. We're happy to talk to you, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. And based on today's session, it may be that we're gonna repeat it at some point. While we may be waiting for you to call in, you could also look at our heartbeat. If you take a photo of the QR code here, it takes you right to the hybrid pulse on our website. That is the section where we always publish the latest news on hybrid software. So what's happening at us, what new solutions are there, what stories can we tell, what stories can our customers tell? And perhaps it's a nice thing to, to keep up to date with hybrid. Thanks a lot for being with us. I hope it was enjoyable for you. And we have over 40 people right now still in the line, which is very great for us. We all hope you have a great summertime and that we're going to see you soon. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.